I looked on the TV and I see America's Top Model. I looked on the TV.
Hi girls, welcome to Girl Talk with Char. So I'm pumped up. Alright, I'm really excited because it's been a while since I posted our last episode, but today we are going to talk about puberty. So a lot of people might not feel comfortable with this talk, or maybe your parents have talked to you about it, or maybe some parents don't feel comfortable talking with you about it, and that's okay. So I want to really talk about this because it's very important for us to understand kind of like what's going on with our bodies. And first of all, just let me say, relax. The things that you're going through or gonna go through is perfectly normal. Some things are changing in your body, some things are different and you're freaking out. You might feel uncomfortable, like what's wrong with me, what's going on, is this supposed to happen? I'm sweating more, I'm getting bumps and pimples, like my breasts are starting to ache. Those types of things are normal, and we're gonna get into that. But first, let me define puberty. I'm gonna give you the definition. Puberty is the period during which adolescents reach sexual maturity where they can begin to reproduce. And so during period, a girl begins her period or her menstrual cycle. And the normal age or the average age that a girl will start her menstrual cycle or her period is from the age of like 9 to 16. So it's okay. If you're around that age, it is normal. Every girl is different. Everyone's going to start at a different time. And during this time, if we're starting her period, a lot happens. So first and foremost, as far as puberty goes, puberty starts by your pituitary gland, which is in your brain, initiating a hormonal message telling your body to start puberty, okay? And that message is sent to the ovaries, and then the ovaries start producing estrogen and progesterone, which are the female sex hormones. And estrogen, that's what starts to make a girl's body more rounder, where she might start to get curves, her breasts might get bigger, she might start to get hips, her butt might get bigger. She might start noticing that she's getting pimples, or her sweat and oil glands are starting to awaken, so she's starting to sweat more, or her voice starts to get a little deeper, but not by much, okay? And so that's all perfectly normal, okay? It's gonna happen to most people. And some things that also happen during puberty, as I said, the menstrual cycle, every girl reacts differently. Those hormonal messages, there are side effects, I call them, like for example, when you're about to start your menstrual cycle, you might have a little bit of moodiness, your breasts might be tender, you might get headaches, you might get stomach cramps, or your stomach might start hurting, back might start aching. Every girl is different. Some people might get really bad cramps, some people might not get anything at all, some people might just get a little headache. Me personally, I don't really get cramps, just a tad bit when I'm about to start, but then during my menstrual cycle, I get headaches. And so some people might take something for the pain. You talk to your parent or guardian about that. Some people might take Tylenol, ibuprofen, or Midol, which is specifically for menstrual cycles, okay? And for periods. So again, a girl's entire menstrual cycle, it lasts for about 28 days, not the bleeding. That usually lasts about 3 to 7 days, but it's different for each girl. When you first start your period, what's going to come out of you is going to look like a lot of blood, but it's mostly a lot of tissue, okay? And so what happens is each month, your body produces a lining, okay, a special lining for a fertilized egg. And if that egg is not fertilized, then that egg is going to be released through the body once a month. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like. That tissue or that lining is going to be discarded through the body during your menstrual cycle because the egg was not fertilized, because that lining is there to help the fertilized egg to grow into a baby, okay? But if you're not sexually active, and hopefully none of you guys are, hopefully you guys are practicing abstinence, which means not having sex, then that means that that egg is going to be discarded through the body, and also that lining is going to be discarded through the body, through the vagina, okay, during your menstrual cycle. And again, as I said, it looks like a lot of blood, but it's mostly tissue. And you might say, well, what am I going to do with all that blood? What am I going to do with all that tissue? Glad you asked. There are a few things that you can do for your menstrual cycle. You can either use pads, okay, or you can use tampons, all right? And you just find what works best for you. Pads go outside of the body, and they go in your underwear. There's different kind. There's long, thin, regular, heavy. So there's for heavy flow, for those who don't bleed a lot, There's the thinner pads. I don't really bleed a lot, so I use the thin pads, but I also like the ones with wings, which is really good because you put this in your underwear, if you can see it, and you would just put the pads, okay, the wings, I'm sorry, around your underwear so that it can keep the pad in place, all right? And some people don't like to wear the pads, but I was very athletic when I was younger, so that means that I twist and turned a lot, so I needed the pads so that the wings, excuse me, so that the blood would not get on the sides of my underwear. But they have overnight pads. This one is regular ultra thin with wings. There's so many different kinds, so what you have to do is kind of just try the different kinds and see what works best for you, especially if you're athletic. You can find them at Walgreens, Walmart, Target, any store. You can pretty much find pads. All right. Then you have tampons, which is inserted inside the vagina. In high school, I switched to tampons because with swimming and a lot of the athletics that I did, I was more interested in that because none of the blood came out. So basically, I'm just going to open up another one so that you can see exactly how it works. Okay. So this one is actually regular as well. As I said, I don't have a heavy blood flow, so I don't really get super, and that's what some of them are called for if you have a heavier flow. And this, if you can see, it has a string outside hanging out, and so what you need to do, this goes inside the vagina, so you need to make sure that you're holding on to both parts. There's two parts, as you can see, two parts. So hold on to this part and this part. Oops, dropped it. All right, and then you're going to open this bottom up, pull it out, but not all the way out, and the string should stay out as well. You're going to hold this part, but also put a finger here, make sure the string stays out, and you're just going to press this in like this, but hold on tight to both parts into the vagina. Make sure the string's hanging out of the vagina. Okay, it fell, but that's okay. You're going to make sure the string, this part will be inside of the vagina, this cotton part, and this part should be outside of the vagina, so that when it's time to take it out, you can pull it out. You have to make sure this is outside of the vagina so you can pull it out. Okay, so ask your parents if you're interested in using tampons to get their advice, or your guardian to see which one works best for you. I would say start off with pads when you're first starting your menstrual cycle to get used to it. All right, and you need to make sure you change that regularly. Okay, the pads every 4 hours. Unless you bleed heavy, then you'll notice that you need to change it more. The pads, I would say 3 hours, 4 hours. When I was wearing pads, honestly, I would do every 2 or 3 hours because I didn't like the blood. I didn't like the way that it felt on me, or I didn't want to make sure that I didn't smell. Also, there are feminine wipes that you can keep in your purse that you can also buy, feminine wipes from any drugstore as well, or any store, and you can keep them in your purse or put a few in a package, and you can wipe from front to back if you feel that you might have a fishy smell or an odor, because menstrual blood does have an odor. You also want to make sure you're spraying perfume on yourself, even more when you're on your menstrual cycle, but it first starts off by you keeping your vaginal area clean, so wipe front to back, okay? Keep yourself clean, because you also don't want to spray perfume on top of the fishy smell. If you're not clean down there and you just spray perfume, it's still going to smell bad. So you want to make sure that you do that. Also, in between your menstrual cycle, you might have discharge, which is normal. Fluid that comes out of the vagina, and that is normal. It's usually clear, and you can wear panty liners in between, all right? Again, this is just the regular, because I don't go really heavy, but a lot of people discharge, and that's normal. But if it's ever green or extremely yellow or has a really bad odor, then you might want to go to the doctor and get checked out. It could be some type of infection, not to freak you out, but you could just go to the doctor and get a cream and help clear that up. Or that might be a yeast infection. Okay, so again, panty liners in between your menstrual cycles to catch the flow of the discharge, which discharge is very normal. Okay, so as far as your menstrual cycle, it's very important to keep up with when it's going to come. Some girls are different. Sometimes it can skip a month from time to time, or it might not be consistent. But when you first start your period, what you should do is keep a calendar, whether you use your phone or an actual calendar. And the first day you start, I put SP, and I circle it, meaning I started my period. And then when I stopped bleeding, then I put SP, meaning I stopped my period, and I circle it. So mine lasts about 4 to 5 days, and so then I put that. And then, again, that entire cycle, the whole entire menstrual cycle is about 28 days, but the bleeding only lasts from about 3 to 7 days, okay? And so mine, again, I said it's about 5 days, so I put SP, and then 5 days later when it stops bleeding, I put SP. And then I count. When my next period starts, I'm going to put SP. So then what I'm going to do, from when my first period started to my first period ended, I'm going to count and see how many days were in between till my next period started. So mine is about 21 to 22 days. So that helps me to keep up to know when my menstrual cycle is going to start next, so I'm not caught off guard. So mine is about 21 days. So I know that after I stopped my period and I have SP with a circle, I count 21 days from that end date of my period, from when I was bleeding the last time. And then I put SP or PW, meaning P week, meaning this is the day that I should start my period. Again, sometimes it's off a day or two, but for the most part, I'm pretty regular. Everyone is not. So that's why I suggest you always have an emergency pack in your purse. And what's in this emergency pack is a pad, a tampon, also panty liners, anything that I may think I need. Okay, I always have this in my purse. So in case my period one just wants to start acting crazy and just start when it wants to start, I'm prepared. Or if somebody else needs something. As young ladies, we should always be prepared. Okay. So again, some of those things, it's just gonna happen. It's part of life. Don't freak out. It's so normal. Some things you just might not understand right away. You might feel uncomfortable, but it's okay. It's a part of life. Also, it's very important to know, once you start your period, yes, you are capable of getting pregnant. So it's very important to practice abstinence, to make sure, because once you start your menstrual cycle, if you do have sex, you can get pregnant, okay? And so it's just really important to start thinking about your future and to really make positive choices, all right? Because you are a young woman at this point once you start puberty. And so your body is able to do women activities. And you want to make sure that you're just setting yourself up for success and having a positive future and not getting yourself caught up in something that you're going to regret. So again, I hope this has been helpful. Also during puberty, again, as I said, your sweat and oil glands are going to start getting more active, so you're going to probably start seeing some pimples. Some people go through it more than others. You might start sweating more in places, like under your butt cheeks, under your arms, your legs, your thighs. It's just your hormones are changing, and that's also a part of life. So find a good deodorant that you can use, and it's okay to have a small one in your purse if you like, and a small perfume in your purse to always stay fresh as a young woman. It's part of growing up. So if you haven't started your period yet, that's okay. But if you have, I hope this has helped you to just be a refresher course. And those of you that haven't, I hope this has helped you to kind of prepare you for what's coming. It's nothing to be afraid of. Once you get a hang of it, believe me, you'll be just fine. So don't be afraid. Don't be scared. If you have any questions, go to girltalkwithshar@gmail.com. Any questions you want to see on the show, or any questions about puberty or your menstrual cycle or just growing up in general, also you can put those questions there. And right now it's time for our fashion focus. For fashion focus today, of course, I told you guys in the last episode I love the fall, obviously because it's my birthday month, but also because of the cool fashion. You can totally layer as well. But first and foremost, yes, I have on a dress. All it is just a black, I'm going to stand up a little bit so that you can see a little bit of it. It's just a black cable knit dress. That's kind of like a turtleneck, but also I have my Letterman jacket. Of course, yes, I know I wore a Letterman jacket in the last video, but I totally love Letterman jackets, okay? So, and it has the knit sleeves. I love that. But my favorite part is my shoe cam. Woo! I love my shoes that I have on today. Let me show you. All right, it is shoe cam time. So today I'm pumped up because I have my Intergalactic red patent leather shoes. I adore these shoes. They're so weird, but I love them, as you can see. And yeah, I'm having so much fun with them. Yes, I love you. All right, so again, I hope this has been a help to you. Give it a big thumbs up. If you enjoyed this segment, go ahead and subscribe below. And don't forget, again, girltalkwithshar@gmail.com if you have any questions. See you guys soon. Love you. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
I looked on the TV and I see America's Top Model.